It's January 4th, 2012. As you may all know, yes, I'm listed as a presidential candidate, but it seems that the wire services distributed a story about me, and the Times Herald in Philadelphia and all these newspapers across the country just wrote very, very superficially about how it's easier to run for president than it is for a person to apply for a job at McDonald's. News media is always doing those kind of comparisons. It's kind of like Newt Gingrich when he said, "Oh, why don't the 99%ers go get a bath first and then get a job?" A job in this economy? You got to be kidding. With a high rate of unemployment, the guy's a fruitcake like all the other money, swimming in money candidates, because that's all they are. This is, I'm going to back up here. Couple of videos haven't had any views, and it matters very importantly how you title your video. If you say presidential, put that in the first word as the title. I notice only the ones that mention the presidential title appear on Google with my picture next to all of the hits that you get. And by the way, when you run my name, you only have to run CAE, HRM, CAE. As soon as you run those 6 letters, that's 3 letters in my first title and 3 letters in my first name, you'll get my full name. So you don't have to type it all in. It's just you put CAE, that's short for Caesar, and then the HRM. Now the HRM comes first, and then CAE, and immediately you'll get Caesar Saint Augustine de Buonaparte. Anyway, I've talked pretty much about every subject in the world. One of the subject matters, I talked about how long a DNA is. The DNA is, the human being is about 55,800,000,000 miles long. Interesting to note, many years ago, we passed the 6 billion population mark of people on the planet. If you were to take that figure, 6 billion, and multiply it times how long all of the 100 trillion cells would stretch out, it would go outside of the solar system. But if you were to string the whole human race's, all their DNA together, it would take you 60 million years to run the length of all of the DNA all glued together of every human being on the planet. In other words, remember when the dinosaurs died 65 million years ago? That's how far back in time you would have to travel, and how far back the string of all the people that are born today now would go back in time, would reach all the way back to 65 million years ago when that big meteor hit and wiped out all the dinosaurs. Now that's an interesting comparison, because I came up with it when I was playing around with mathematics this morning. But the sad part about all of this is that in all that length of DNA, we have supposedly the ability to really be higher evolved intelligent beings, but higher evolved intelligent beings don't have a rap sheet. And the human race's rap sheet is full of nothing but death, war, and destruction for more than 7,000 years. The scientists at MIT can only account for a little less than 300 years of peace worldwide in bits and pieces. So you put it together. Here's a presidential candidate who has made more than 100 videos, has been abused like crazy, and watch out, the media will take bits and pieces, like the bits and pieces of war worldwide 7,000 years. They have a nasty habit of really screwing with a person's public image, making fun of it, putting them down, treating them like they're worth nothing. Because you have no money, you can list yourself as running for president, but you'll never make it because it's a fixed election. Duh! Fixed election. Now, it's not important to me to be president. It really isn't, because I got fed up with it back in 1996 when I overthrew the United States of America symbolically on cable access television which if you run my full name on the Googles and do your homework about me, you'll see that, yeah, I'm a pretty pissed off guy. And I have every right to be, and I have every right to judge everybody too. Because when it comes time to a revolution, you people let the media lead you. You don't form your own revolution. Screw what the media says. The media is full of crap anyway. They always have been. And not only that, look at all the people who are hung up on sports. Those are watching that basketball or football game or baseball game and watching those players play. You may get enjoyment out of it watching it, drinking your beer and eating your popcorn or whatever else you're doing, watching your dumb games. But does that put any money in your pocket? Unless you're betting on the games, it ain't putting any money in your pocket. In a lot of states, that's illegal. But that's the only way you're going to make money on any of these sports games. So, betting. So, here the human race is believing in all of their religions, a comparative example, and they're betting. Most of the people that believe in their religions believe, oh, I do good, I give to charity, I follow the law, which is man's law, not God's law. And you go along with it, and the sad part about it is nobody really knows what comes after death. Only the person that dies knows. If there's any kind of brain activity, which there isn't, it dies. So if there is an invisible soul and people believe in it, why don't you believe in the possibility that, like I said, this water being exists and it's been controlling you, and like all animal life on planet Earth has to eat one another in order to survive. They have to either eat plants or they eat each other. So what makes you think that in the invisible world, if there is an invisible world, that invisible creatures don't manipulate those that are alive to get energy off of them? A lot of movies have been based on that. And when you really think about all this stuff, you go, well, I don't have any way of proving it. There's no verification. So why should I bother? I'll just go on with my life, drive my SUV, play on my cell phone, watch my baseball, my football, my basketball, hockey game, watch all my games, and have fun until I die. What fun is there in all of that? You're going to leave your game. You're going to go out into the world. You're going to run into situations. You're going to run into problems. And those problems don't have to exist. We're supposed to be an involved, intelligent species. We aren't involved. We are not evolved. Trust me. The wars prove that. The amount of wars you've had outweighs beyond any peace that you've ever had. I certainly know that because I've been the subject of being attacked continually for 30 years. It was like, and it still is, kind of like guerrilla warfare. Rules, regulations that you have to follow. I mean, you rent a storage and you have to follow the regulations and pay the rip-off fees. I mean, you know, these people all need to be put to rest. We really do need a meteorite to wipe all you people out. So, because it's just too many. And that's why you hear me talk all this negative stuff. Negative stuff about not liking, you know, the people on planet Earth, that they're absolutely worthless. They don't stick together on any revolution. When you watch on television the Libyan revolution, the Egyptian revolution, everybody wants democracy. Well, you can only have democracy if you have intelligent people voting. Most of these people aren't educated. They don't have a clue about history. I asked one lady the other day. She didn't know. She's 22 years old. Met her on the street. She didn't know what Homo sapien meant. I mean, come on. You got to be kidding. I felt like I was Jay Leno playing the man on the street, asking all these people, when was World War II? And one person answered, wasn't that the Civil War? I just hang my head in shame that people say, well, what happens in the past isn't important. Yes, it is. What happens in the past is important because you learn from it. You draw on the past. If that wasn't true, you'd be making the same mistakes. If a con man came along and conned you out of $100, well, if you didn't learn from that mistake, you'll get conned again out of another 100 somewhere on down the line during your lifetime. Sometimes I feel like Will Rogers. that I have this country bumpkin logic. The only thing that is different for me and Will Rogers is that I really do wish nothing but death and destruction on the human race, because that's all you dealt out to me. When I see bad things happen, I go, good. And people wonder, why would you say such a terrible thing? Well, I didn't used to say that. I didn't used to before this society made me lose my cars, trucks, my boats, my motorhomes, left me in a state of total exhaustion with no place to go, no place to be safe. There is no such thing as democracy. In the United States of America, it is not a democracy. This is a class system. Only the people with lots and lots of money have the ability to make problems go away. Granted, their capability percentage-wise is about 99% to make their problems that come up to them go away, because they have the money to make it go away. Poor people don't. They have to pay and pay and slave away and pay and pay. When are you people going to get the message? Get the right leader. Totally overthrow every state of the union. Overthrow the damn Washington, D.C. government. Hey, I'm gonna talk right now. We're 11 minutes into this. I'm gonna talk right now because this is a short time. I'm only gonna do one video tonight. I only got 10 minutes left. What if all this water being stuff? What if, you know, you've seen a lot of these stories and science fiction stories about invisible creatures on the other side of life coming and interfering in people's lives. What if these creatures, these invisible creatures, actually feed off of your energy and give birth to new invisible creatures off the death and destruction and the pain and the agony and the anxiety and even the mental illnesses of all the people that are alive right now? I mean, they also get their energy off the animals that kill each other. It's eat or be eaten, or work your fanny off in the fields for your fruit and garden vegetables and whatever else you want. So what makes you think that on the other side it's not any different? I mean, black holes eat light, they eat energy. We all know that. So knowing all those things, that the universe pretty much has a standard: eat or be eaten, fight or get taken advantage of. And the fighting and the energy, like in that show Star Trek, The Day of the Dove, these beings are feeding off that energy. And you could cut them off in a revolution real easy. First, you'd have to educate yourself. Second, you'd have to form some kind of continuum, a collective, a new collective, that would overtake the Washington government. You know, they say that a person, remember the 99th monkey philosophy, that after 99 monkeys started washing their fruit hundreds of miles away on a new island without any coaxing, monkeys started to wash their fruit over there. Well, what if Charles Manson said he could stop a person's watch just by thinking it? And sure enough, his attorney's watch stopped. That wasn't a coincidence. Maybe there are anomalies that exist in our DNA that vibrates at certain frequencies that enable us to literally project that evil. Like I said in one of my tapes yesterday, you took all my cars, my boats, my motorhomes, you took all my life away from me, and here this guy from Germany got pissed off and started setting fires on all these cars. Hey, what comes around goes around, and it may continue. Because once a person does that and it's put on the news, there's another person, an arsonist might get the idea, hey, this is a great idea, maybe I should do this. And maybe they will. And maybe they'll set fires again and start all the valley on fire again, and the hillsides and Malibu. I mean, maybe all that stuff can be generated by, you got it. If I was done evil and all I can think of is nothing but evil, then evil is going to happen. But how much can my energy press on the invisible energy on the other side of the dimension, if you want to call it that? How much could my energy affect that? Because on my presidential campaign form, I put a copy of the Washington Monument. And a few months later, there was an earthquake there, and the Washington Monument cracked. Did I make that happen? Or did I make the 9/11 event happen? Am I more in touch with that invisible water being or dark matter creature than most other people are? Kind of like Moses. and they're following my commands, boy, think what I could do.